Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the fourth class of our cryptocurrency and NFT series. Today, we'll be covering a important topic, and in my opinion, one of the reasons why blockchain is so important to the future of business, and that is decentralization. Today, we're going to talk about what it actually is and how it affects business in our daily lives. So let's take a quick definition of decentralization. Now, it's really the transfer of control and decision making from a single person or entity to a distributed network. So, what that means is someone like Google or Facebook, they are companies with CEOs and full marketing teams, sales teams. They're full corporations that control servers. They now will decide the future of their product and what to do with your data, what to do with your information, and how to define your status as a customer. Now, you can be a big stakeholder in it, but all the control and decision making will come from someone inside of Facebook itself. Decentralization means that we take that decision making away from one entity and give it to a network of people or nodes that are in a particular blockchain. So Ethereum has millions of nodes within it, and every decision has to be put through a vote, validated, and given the green light by the entire network, or at least a vast majority of the network. Even a small change needs to go through several different validations before it actually happens. And what this does is really strives to reduce the trust in a good way, meaning that you don't need to put your trust in any one person's ability or a company to do the work and allow them to degrade the functionality of any given network. Instead, the trust is among everybody. And if one node, one computer in the network becomes untrustworthy, everybody else can just take the time to kick them off. Now, the benefits of decentralization is that every member, including you, will have full access to all the data in the chain. Any blockchain has every transaction since the beginning of that blockchain's creation available for view. Any corruption or changes will be rejected immediately by consensus. And that means that if I have a version of a block that is for some reason different, that means you can know that I've been corrupted in some way, even if it's not my fault, and my version of the chain will now be rejected by all the other validators moving forward, and I will not be allowed to transact in that chain anymore until I fix that corruption. It effectively stops data issues during file transfers because of the same reason, right? If I'm corrupted in any way, even if it's not my fault, the blockchain is readable by all and validated by all. Reduces failures and bottlenecks by centralized actors. If Google, for example, is having a server outage or a team within Google is not able to perform their functions, they are not going to bottleneck any or in today's world they will bottleneck servers for you and maybe make it difficult for you to access important information. In a blockchain, if my computer node fails, there's an entire network of people who can pick that slack up and thereby eliminate failures and bottlenecks. And finally, because it's a distributed network, the servers don't need to be housed in one server farm and be, spent millions of dollars on it. These will be distributed across the world, and even governments, if they decide to shut down certain nodes, all the information again will just be transferred evenly across the blockchain. And finally, this is a little bit of a busy table, but it shows the three different types of networks that we can be in. At first, we have your centralized, which I've been talking about, where all components, all data, and really all security is controlled by a central entity. And an enterprise resource planning system is a good example of this. And I want to point out this isn't necessarily bad because an ERP system is important for a company. You don't want your bank to, you know, have data everywhere, right? You want to maintain that privacy and make sure that the work done within the company is controlled by a certain small number of people. A distributed network is that next step that we've been doing, and Salesforce has really pioneered this area by allowing cloud-based applications and cloud-based storage. Really, there will be a network provider, a solution provider, and a customer that combine together to make sure that the data is available to all, and it really reduces the amount of failure and faults. Now, again, this has to come through a centralized place, someone who can maintain the cloud. But as the hardware resources and data increase scale up and out, the performance will be changed according to the needs of the customer. And now the most important as we move into the future of Web 3.0, we're coming to decentralized, where, as I mentioned, all resources and data is owned and shared by all the network members. Now, this slows down transactions to a certain extent, but that is because no one owns it. We need validations on every single transaction. Every member, as I mentioned, has the exact same copy of the blockchain and is always encouraged and is the data is available for you to go view. No one actually owns the data, no centralized server, but at the same time, you as one of the participators has access to make sure that the data is correct. So it's really no one owns it, but everyone owns it at the same time. We all own all the data. And the security actually increases as more and more people come into play because now you're able to have more validators and more checking for the process and the protocols of any given blockchain. However, the one drawback is that the performance will go down because as more people are able to view the chain and more traffic comes in, the performance will go down as it will take longer for transactions to go through and will need to be validated by more people to ensure that corruption does not take place. And this is the central component of a blockchain itself. And again, nothing is good, right, or wrong. It's just about what is necessary for the type of project or company that you're working on today.